F1 24. This game feels like it was made without the passion and love that the sport and racing games deserve. After more than 80 hours of my precious time spent on F1 24, I'm finally ready to talk about my experience with this game. While I'm at it, I will try to suggest some changes I expect to see in the future titles. Since it releases every year, we know it is a cash grab, which is really disappointing, but there are some changes which might still make it a good game and restore it to its glory days. First off, let's talk about the handling model of this game. Because what else is the most essential part of a good racing game? That is literally the base. I play on a controller, so my experience with the handling model might slightly vary than those who play on a wheel. Also, please support my channel so I can buy a wheel. When I started playing this game, I liked the pointy handling, the responsiveness of the front, until about 2 hours. Then I started to realize it actually feels very odd and disconnected from the rear. The car behaves in a very weird way, where I felt I am in control of the front only. I know Max was involved in the development, but that's what his car feels like, not every car. I did get used to the handling and it was okayish, but it didn't feel natural and intuitive. The fact is, it is not just the pointy handling. Sometimes I feel the floatiness of the car, if you know what I mean. It feels like a boat sometimes. The downforce a Formula 1 car generates is twice its own weight. F1 2020 did the best job in making the cars feel planted. And the downforce, G-forces, the inertia of the car turning at high speeds, the weight transfer was really well replicated. Fast forward to 24. This game fails to capture any of this physics, which should be a part of an F1 game. That's what gives the motorsport its unique characteristic. If I can't feel the downforce and the weight of the car while taking a corner at high speeds, it is just another arcade game
with extra steps. Ooh la la.
Coming to the cars, this is something that bothers me a lot. For the most part, the cars all feel the same. I have played a lot of racing games. Games like MotoGP and WRC do a great job of giving different machines a subtle, distinct feel. There's not a lot of difference in how the cars drive. I could only feel a subtle difference in Ferrari from the rest of the bunch. For example, in MotoGP, I can feel the difference between how a Yamaha brakes and how a Ducati brakes. How well they are at cornering. There are differences, which is a huge part of motorsports. Drivers take their time to adapt to a new car. The handling of all the cars isn't supposed to be the same. A car should set itself apart from the other cars. Coming to the development, this is an issue I faced in general. In F1, it feels I am just spending points on cards and there's no real feel to the difference. Just that the car is faster than other cars now. This part of the game in the franchise, in general, is lacking. It feels so primitive. They might as well give us a slider to increase the speed. I should feel the improvement in aerodynamics after spending points on that. The development doesn't feel nuanced enough. I've never really felt I should give some thought to how I should spend my points. Codies should focus on making the game feel true to a motorsport, not an arcade version of that. I want something like testing to be a part of the career mode, so I can experiment and set up cars for the rest of the season, like how it is in the MotoGP games. But even that will work well when the development of the car feels nuanced and impactful while driving. Maybe it could just be a part of the career mode. Like if you put points in aero, the downforce increase is felt. This would be far more immersive. I know custom car setups help fine-tune the car, but I want to point out that the development part needs a major overhaul because it is poorly executed, as it practically plays no role other than buying cards in the name of progression. This brings me to one of the most important aspects of a racing game: the racing. Motorsports are extreme and thrilling, but the game doesn't nearly capture that thrill. I want to feel the high stakes of pushing the car to its limit. I want to feel the pressure of the driver behind me. F124 doesn't really make me feel that. Guess which game did it better? There are also other problems which ruin the experience. For starters, the AI apparently never makes mistakes. A lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times, when I brake late on a corner and overtake, the AI doesn't make efforts to avoid contact and rams into me. Above this, I've noticed whatever a collision is like, it's never the AI's mistake. I am the one who gets handed a warning. The AI is never penalized. In general too, I rarely face situations when AI made mistakes, and when it did, like in this clip, I liked it because it made the racing feel more natural, not just bots lining up behind each other. The ERS management is also flawed. On some tracks, I am able to use the hot lap mode for the whole race. The constant updates of the race engineer are also annoying, and usually he repeats the same thing, like I'm gonna face understeer in the wake of the car ahead. It doesn't matter if I'm 1 second behind or 10 seconds behind. It's just unnecessarily annoying. It gets so repetitive. And sometimes, oh god, sometimes he just doesn't make any sense.
Verstappen's in first place.
Which also reminds me, the secret meetings and dialogues are so repetitive. To be fair, I like the added secret meetings. It adds something new to the career mode. I just don't like the repetitive dialogues, and I expected better cutscenes too. The rivalries are also a good addition. Overall, the career mode is fine. I had fun with that. However, I do want to point out that locking the customization behind a paywall is such an EA thing to do. I want more liveries and helmet designs. I also want to be able to design my own helmet with a custom livery editor. It feels so infuriating. They also removed the classic cars and tracks. I miss that so much, driving a V10 or a V12. The scream of a V12 is just something else entirely. I want these back. I want to play a custom historic championship. Just adding the drivers doesn't cut it. I would also take a moment to say the cars sound like absolute shit. Even though it's a V6 hybrid, the cars are still supposed to sound aggressive. I know there were licensing issues, but making a car sound more aggressive is something that could have been done. Apart from this, I don't like F1 World, and I feel it's too cluttered. I haven't really spent much time on that, so I won't cover it in detail. But I always feel it is something that could have been done better. Coming to the end of this video, even though what I have said sounds mostly negative, I did have some fun playing it. That is why I have more than 80 hours. The game overall is okay at best, a 5 on 10. The problem is, it has been going backward. After an absolute goat of a game like F1 2020, I wanted to see the franchise progress further, or at least keep it on that level. but here we are with EA. It's not in the game. I want to see a game by people who love the sport, who know what motorsports F1 is about. The thrill of racing, pushing to the absolute limit, driving on the edge. While I don't have high expectations from F1 25, I want Cody's and EA to take note of what the issues of this game are. I want to see the game improve and go in the right direction. Let us wait and see.